too late for Sussex. Cambridge has launched a fatal move that made the traitors unable to rise up. Kate went on a boat trip on Lake Windermere with Erich Hirsch and Ike Alterman, who were among 300 Jewish children flown by the RAF from Prague to Britain in August 1945. The Duchess of Cambridge went on a voyage of discovery yesterday with 2 Holocaust survivors to hear how they rebuilt their lives under an extraordinary refugee project in the Lake District. Kate went on a boat trip on Lake Windermere with Erich Hirsch and Ike Alterman, who were among 300 Jewish children flown by the RAF from Prague to Britain in August 1945 for a period of recuperation before resettlement here or overseas. The group, who came to be known as the Windermere Children, had been liberated from the notorious Theresienstadt concentration camp in the Czech town of Terezín, where they had been marched by their captors from ghettos and death camps. Many had been used as slave labor and witnessed the horrors of camps such as Auschwitz and Buchenwald. Mr. Hirsch, 93, who lives in Leeds, lost 81 members of his immediate family in the Holocaust. Only one of his sisters survived. Like Mr. Alterman, who lives in Manchester and is also 93, he spent time in Auschwitz and other camps. But during 6 months on the shores of Lake Windermere they underwent then revolutionary sessions with a psychiatrist, took part in art therapy, outdoor pursuits such as hiking, climbing and swimming, and took the first steps towards rebuilding their lives. Kate, 39, had asked to meet them after reading about the Windermere children. She was curious to know if their resilience in overcoming the horrors they had witnessed and the therapy they received offered lessons for her own work with disadvantaged children across Britain. It was so forward-thinking for the time, she declared of the therapy after meeting the survivors and relatives and listening to their stories about the little bit of heaven they found in this corner of northwestern England. It's so relevant still today. She joined the 2 Holocaust survivors on Osprey, a 1902 steam launch, for a tour of the places they remembered. They pointed out the bay where they used to go swimming and the site of the Calgarth estate, a wartime housing complex at Troutbeck Bridge, a mile from Windermere, that was built for aircraft factory workers but became their home for their first 6 months in Britain after the war. All eyes have been on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle since their bombshell announcement on January 8 that they planned to split their time between Britain and North America and would be seeking financial independence while still representing Queen Elizabeth II, Harry's grandmum, on the world stage. Though it wasn't news to the royal family that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex wanted to distance themselves, the Queen didn't know the statement was going out on that day, and the palace's terse response, noting that these were complicated matters that were actually still being discussed, was another bombshell in its own right. Harry and Meghan's flowery way of saying they were over it was immediately followed by an emergency meeting convened by the Queen with Prince William and Prince Charles, who has long envisioned a more streamlined way of doing royal business as the monarchy heads into the future, but who also still wanted Harry to be an active member of the firm. 10 days after Buckingham Palace found itself in crisis mode, the deal was done, with Harry and Meghan no longer working royals at all because, as relayed by an uncharacteristically tender-sounding statement from the Queen explaining the terms of her grandson's pivot to a more private life, it just doesn't work that way. And with that, William and Kate Middleton were left to tote the weary load as the remaining full-time royals of their generation. Not that you'd know from looking at the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge that there's anything wearying about what they've been asked to do, which is work overtime, not only by putting in more hours, but also by jam-packing their existing schedule with extra significance to communicate to the people that all will be fine. That, in fact, everything is fine already. And when Kate and William are just out there, doing their thing, everything does indeed seem fine. Their thing,